Hello and welcome back to the Cars Ireland YouTube channel. I'm Sinead McCann and this week I'm going to be having a look around the Seat Leon.
And Ford Focus.
What are you doing here?
No, we're not doing this again. We're not doing a contrived intro where it's like you stumbled across me here. We're in the middle of nowhere. You knew I was here. Twin test is in the title. We're not doing that again.
Okay, fine. How are we going to do it then?
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall, get your back up. Well, I heard all the people saying.
And now a word from our sponsors.
This video is brought to you by Vendor Finance. If you're looking for car finance and want the best available motor finance rates, check out vendorfinance.ie and apply online today. Vendor Finance is 100% Irish owned. See the comment section for more details.
So Sinead, we agreed to a hatchback twin test, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And we would both bring, like the best hatchbacks out there. So I said, well, I'll bring a Ford Focus because it's up there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And what did you bring?
I brought a Seat Leon.
You did, yeah. But what's going on at the back there?
So this is the Seat Leon Sports Tourer, which is what the ST on the spec sheet actually stood for, as I found out when I collected it.
Not sporty type? Or...
Not sporty type, no.
Right.
So it's the estate.
Yeah, I could see that. So this isn't a twin test really, is it?
Well, no. I was thinking more of a nuanced discussion on the merits of an estate versus a hatchback and a plug-in hybrid versus a mild hybrid.
Fierce mild, fierce mild.
Anyway, let's talk about the looks, the
Yes.
faces, the money makers.
We definitely brought two of the best looking hatchbacks going.
Absolutely agreed. For me, these two are the pick of the segment and I would find it very hard to choose between them.
Now, if it was me, I would probably still stick the Mazda 3 above these two, but they're still very good looking and they have that kind of sporty, sleeker vibe.
That would have been a good third
It
contestant,
would,
actually.
yeah. Another day,
Next time.
when we get them all here. Tell me about this colour, because I do like it.
It's called Mystery Blue.
Ooh, I love the names of colours.
So do I.
Favourite thing.
An endless source of entertainment. So Mystery Blue, it's very deep, almost kind of purpley. It very much reminds me of the colour of my first car, which was a Seat Ibiza.
All those years ago.
Oi.
All those years, so many years ago.
I do think that helps it pop. It's the FR model as well, which is the sporty version. I take it this is top of the pops from Ford also.
This is ST line, yes. So we obviously have the ST, but this is ST line. So it is the sporty, visually very sporty.
Sports Tourer.
No, no. I did what I was supposed to do and got a hatchback. Not mad on the grey, I'll tell you.
No?
But when it's combined with these optional 18-inch alloys, about €500, it actually looks a lot better.
These 18s are actually standard on the FR, on the Leon.
Oh, standard.
And also I agree that I think it needs them. As are these grey wing mirrors.
I don't know about them.
Why?
It just looks like you went, you know what happened? You knocked your wing mirrors off and then you went to the scrapyard and said, oh, I'll just take any and I'll just stick the grey ones on and it's fine.
Okay,
It
I'm
has
not going to
that
be able to
vibe.
unsee that. Yeah, I'm not 100% on them either. I don't think that it works with this colour. I think black might have worked well, or if
Yeah.
the car itself was a different colour, so yeah.
So, who wins?
They're both very spec dependent, but they're both in really nice specs and
They need the sporty specs.
they need
I
the sporty
think
specs, I
the
agree.
Z-Tech on this kind, and
Yeah, agreed.
Same.
I actually don't think I could call it.
I think I could. Pains me to say this, but I'd probably lean towards the Leon. That's hard to say.
Really?
Yeah,
Why is that now?
it's purely a face thing. I think from just certain angles, the Focus's face has a kind of catfish vibe.
So it actually looks like yeah, I can kind of see
Yeah,
the eyes
give it
and you got the
whiskers.
mouth and the little puckered mouth. Right, thanks, you've ruined the Ford Focus
No,
for
I
me.
haven't. Stop. It's still look good looking, but I just think marginally the Leon.
Fine, we'll take that so.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Right, show me your boot.
Okay, so this is the boot of the Leon Sports Tourer, which, as we've established, is an estate. But hear me out.
Okay.
Why you might consider the estate, particularly if you're going to go for the e-hybrid version of the Leon, is that, well, the standard Leon Sports Tourer...
Will I settle in for this? This feels like a settle
Buckle
in.
up, buckle up.
Settle in.
Standard Leon Sports Tourer comes in at 620 litres, which is massive, pretty standard estate. But on the e-hybrid version, you actually lose quite a good bit of that between the battery pack and your charging cables. So you're actually only getting 470 litres here, which is still very big. Like, it's still probably SUV size. So when you consider that the Leon hatchback e-hybrid loses 100 litres of its 370 litre boot to the
Okay.
battery pack. It ends up with just 270 litres.
So nearly pointless for some people.
So quite tight. So that would be one reason why, if you were considering the e-hybrid, that you might just end up going for the estate, because there's a lot more usable boot space in here.
Because you're talking super mini Fiesta boot space versus SUV boot space.
Exactly. So, you're not getting quite as much as you would in the standard sports tourer, but still quite a lot to play with here.
That was a big, convoluted explanation, but fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes. Okay, moving on
Moving on.
to the little details and stuff, because that's one thing I really like about estate boots, because they are such a boot focused affair. The attention to detail tends to be really good. For example, you've got this retractable parcel shelf.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It actually is, because you can do this.
Oh, now that I like. You
That
can
is-
take your aggression out on your parcel shelf.
That is very satisfying. That, and you can also lower the back seats via a lever back here, which is a really handy feature. I really like that.
Not flat, but close.
Come on, that's as flat as you're going to
I'll
get,
give it, I'll
surely.
give it. Can I do one test?
Sure.
Now see, this is my mind working, but you buy an estate,
Yeah.
you're out in the middle of nowhere, you were surfing all day, you've nowhere to stay, and you might just sleep in your car. Can I test out if I could?
Fire ahead.
All right. This is going to be graceful. Look, yeah. I could sleep in here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Happy enough back there, yeah?
Pretty happy, yeah.
Cool. I'm going to tuck you in.
Okay.
I'm going to tuck you in.
Yeah, it passes the sleeping test. The boot on the Focus, however, is a much more straightforward affair. 375 litres and a spare tyre. And
So this is the back seat of the Leon.
yes, it is. I can see that. And you know what? I am comfortable. I am comfortable.
That's my driving position.
You're like 5'2",
5'6".
5'6", right? I'll give you 6.
Amazonian.
Total Amazonian. But I have loads of knee room, loads of headroom. Very comfy seats, squidgy and all.
It's grand, yeah. No, I think it's pretty spacious back here. Middle seat, you're a little bit compromised by that large transmission tunnel.
You are, that is very high. I would not fancy being in there. And when you have your car seat in, that's even worse.
It is, but in fairness, this is one of the few cars where you don't really need to push the passenger seat too far forward to fit that in. It is enormous, it's giant.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Yeah, you have to look after the babies. We have air conditioning controls, which is always nice. 'Cause
Yes.
sometimes you're forgotten back here.
3-zone climate control is part of the F4 spec, which is nice.
But underneath we have USB-C, which I still can't get on
Yeah,
board
see,
with.
this car is slightly newer than that one. That is the way with all new cars.
Yeah.
I can't really pull it up as a fault anymore. I think I just need to either upgrade my phone or get one of those
Yeah.
doohickey adapters. But yeah,
We need to get with the times.
we
is
need
it?
to get with
Not
the
the
times.
car.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Can't blame for that.
Magazine holder too. Wow. And the best thing is the lights.
Show me. Oh.
Ooh, sensor lights.
I hadn't even noticed that.
Ooh, sensor. Oh, good one. So Sinead, how comfy are you in the back of the Focus?
I am reasonably comfortable. So
You
that's your driving position. You're 4'11".
Yeah, 4'11", maybe 6 foot on a good day, but 4'11" most of the time.
Fair enough, and I am my height, and that is pretty good. Headroom also good. Width-wise, it feels quite similar. Now your transmission tunnel is a lot lower
Way
than
lower.
mine, way lower. So it's definitely going to be a nicer experience for your middle seat passenger. However, they don't have 3-zone climate control.
No.
And in fact, they don't even have a USB port, do they?
No, they don't. They have a 12-volt charger.
A 12, yes, because everybody's charging their phone with a 12-volt
It's
charger.
2003 back here, yeah. My Isofix is better than yours. Easier access.
Ah, yes, you've got the guides.
Yeah.
No guides in mine. Fair enough. You can have that. Door bins. Your door bins are lined, I notice.
Yeah, that's class. That's what that's called. That's class.
That is nice. I am a
Yeah.
sucker for little things like
You
that.
really are. You love a line door
I do.
bin.
I don't like things rattling around. It really
Carpet on a
bugs
door
me.
bin and Sinead's happy.
Your magazine holders are a little bit more old school, although I guess you could argue you can see your reading material here.
Yes, like an aeroplane.
Your lights are nowhere near as cool as mine.
No. The tech is maybe a bit behind, but look, and the space is not there, but yours is an estate. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cheated out the door.
Damn it. So welcome to the front of the cabin of the Seat Leon.
Thank you. Show me around.
So I think you'd have to agree that Seat interiors have come on in leaps and bounds over the last few years, whereas I would have said before that it was nearly a weak link in that you get into a Volkswagen Golf and then you get into a Seat Leon, and it would be quite obvious why you were paying that little bit more for the Golf.
You'd know, like.
Definitely, whereas I feel like that gap has really closed now. There's still like a little bit of patchy quality in places. Like there's a little bit of scratch if you go looking for it, but the overall design, the feel has moved much more premium, and I really like this interior.
It feels very sporty, like a sporty leaning, and I'm guessing that's the F4 stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
In general, I think, you know, say I have gone down the kind of sporty route, like you might have the kind of slightly more luxurious side or more practical side in the other brands in the group. But this has always been the kind of sporty, fun and young kind of image.
The good old days.
And yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I do like it. It's nice and bright as well. It's not just dark and dingy, and it's a nice interior.
Made even nicer by the fact that this is, as I was saying, the top of the line F4 trim. So you've got your nice little sporty touches, your kind of semi-bolstered sporty seats.
I will call out the leather feels a bit cheap. A bit cheap. I'm being picky.
Fair.
I do like the orange stitching.
I like the orange stitching. A little bit less obvious than red, don't you think?
Red is sporty.
Yes.
Orange is sporty?
At least they're, something a little bit different.
A bit different, yeah.
In terms of storage, you've got lots open up here. You've got, there's my 12-volt charging socket.
Your prehistoric zone.
There I can use like one of those little handheld vacs. Or, you know, light a cigarette, whatever.
Whatever takes your fancy.
You can hold both a small drink and a large drink.
I don't get this. Just make it both large. Why small and large?
Because it's good to have choice in life.
Fair enough.
This obviously being the plug-in hybrid is automatic. So they've gone with like a unusual little setup here for the gear selector.
I would call it a kettle switch. Just a little switch. I'm not a fan. Personally, not a fan. Prefer just an old school gear selector.
I really think brands are struggling with how to make this look good or interesting. I think the simpler the better. This doesn't bother me. It's inoffensive. I feel like the kind of storage on either side of it is so small that it's almost useless.
Yeah.
But other than that, look, it's fine. Over here, we've 2 more USB 30 USB-C. I think we need to get over it. We need to move with the times. We either need to upgrade our phones.
Get on the wagon and that's it.
Upgrade our phones or at least get one of those little connector things.
I can't be arsed.
Steering wheel's pretty nice.
Very nice and flat bottom.
Yes.
And more orange stitching.
F4.
Yeah, F4. But behind that this is probably the best bit of it. Is the digital cockpit.
Digital cockpit is awesome. I remember when I first saw the digital, I think it might have been in an Audi, possibly in the A4, and being blown away thinking this is insane. It's great. It's now in the Seat Leon.
And it's so good.
And it still has that wow factor. I mean, it still has that kind of video game effect. You can change the views lots of different ways. Absolutely love it.
There's so much configuration. Like, you'll find your own one and just stick with it, but you can do loads with it. It's really cool.
Tons of personalisation.
Moving on
to the infotainment system. Looks really well also.
It's such a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's such a mixed bag. So you have the slidey things that Volkswagen are now using to control volume and temperature.
Am I the only person in the world who actually likes that volume slider?
I think you might be. It's just like, no.
So I think what I like about it is that it's a nice mix between it feels high tech, but it's also always in the same place. So it's like, it makes sense.
It feels old though. No? No?
No.
Anyway, it's there and it's not going anywhere, so we'll move on.
One thing I really dislike about this system though is the fact that the aircon controls are built in and they're confusing.
Yeah,
I mean, I was on the way down here and I just wanted to turn the aircon off. And do you think I could do it without,
faffing around for ages.
Faffing around, that's it.
That's the word.
I mean, it was like there's settings, I can get down to level 1, but I couldn't turn it off completely, and then I could, but it's this little finicky slider button, and it wasn't a good user experience.
Like, it looks good, and the colours are really good and bright.
Again, sporty
and bright.
Black with red and stuff, so looks really well, but as you were saying, a user will learn it, but learning to use it I found a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and you will learn, and it's just a bit finicky, but it's perfectly fine for most people.
Shall we have a look at yours?
Yes. Now, Sinead, welcome to the Ford Focus front. How do you like it?
Delighted to be here.
So glad you could come.
It is very, very similar vibes, in fairness.
Yeah, it's a similar vibe. It is a bit darker, though. There's no silver flourishes, and there's not a huge amount of design.
Yeah, the roof liner's darker, I think.
Yeah,
that doesn't help.
It could do with a bit of brightening. Now, in saying that, we have red stitching, not orange, because sporty.
Yeah, I guess the ST F4 vibe is quite similar. I like the steering wheel. I love the steering wheel, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a better steering wheel.
It is. It's a good chunky steering wheel, softer, feels like a bit more.
Yeah, it's a bit more
to
padded.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a driver steering wheel.
Yeah, and flat bottom because
Flat bottom.
sporty.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, in front of you though, we do not have a digital cockpit.
No.
It's more old school and just analog.
That is almost retro at this stage, that speedometer, but I kind of like it. It's in the in-between stage because you have got the digital feature in the middle.
Yeah, your info and your MPG and all that jazz.
But again, it's almost a bit of a throwback at this stage, isn't it?
old
Along
school.
with your petrol tank, which you're so used to getting how many kilometres you've got left
Yeah,
now.
you're not getting that.
You have to gauge why the top half of your tank goes down so much quicker than the bottom half, or vice versa.
We're answering the important questions
Answering the
here.
important
Yeah.
questions.
Now, Ford do have a digital one, but I think maybe I prefer this one. Maybe that's an old school vibe.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you will on the Puma.
On the
Now,
Puma,
yeah.
nice.
Now, we need to talk about the infotainment because visually it gets destroyed by the Leon. It's just a bit Windows 98, isn't it?
A little bit.
But in fairness to it, it does
Works.
work quite well. It's not very straightforward because they never are, but it works well and it does its job. It's fine. And you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
Well, that's all you want, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
That's pretty
It just
quick
could do
and
it a bit more
responsive.
colour and a bit more liveliness.
And no aircon built in. You've got actual
Yeah,
buttons.
I know, like such a treat. Buttons and dials, what? And I didn't have to figure this out.
No.
I just knew the second I got in how to do that.
That is exactly how it should be because
Yeah,
you've got your,
totally.
turn it up, turn it down, hot or cold. There's even a picture of where on your body you want the air to blow.
I know, like what were they thinking?
That-
It's like they knew what you wanted.
That
And then
is-
on and off. Oh. So,
All
and,
aircon needs a simple on and off feature. That is the way it should be.
and the volume dial is a dial, not a slidey,
you know what-
futuristic thing.
Do you know what's even better about that volume dial?
What?
Watch.
Oh, the word doesn't move.
The word doesn't move.
It's the
That is
little
so
things.
satisfying.
Yeah.
That used to drive me crazy on older Volkswagens, which have removed that problem, which is the slidey thing that you hate now.
Like, is it just a much more pragmatic approach and that's like
is.
fussy for
Well,
the
that's
sake of
it. I
fussiness?
suppose I'm looking at that really tempting 6-speed manual, old school gear selector.
Imagine a manual.
This just makes me want to drive it. Do you know what? I actually can't remember the last time I drove a manual car.
Such a treat, isn't it?
This is like a real novelty, I suppose. Especially this year, everything seems to have been either electric or hybrid electric. Yeah,
Fierce
talk
one.
to me a bit about the hybrid thing on this because it's a manual.
It's a manual, yeah. That hybrid is very mild. It does very little. It runs some ancillary bits and bobs and gives a tiny bit of torque to the engine.
Okay, so it's not a hybrid in the sense of, it's on mainly
No,
electric
it's-
power at any given stage.
There's a bit of brake regen, so if you lift off the accelerator, you can feel the brakes apply and it's giving it back to the battery.
Okay.
But other than that, you really don't notice it. Maybe the stop-start is actually quite good. That is my one takeaway from a mild hybrid. It makes stop-start very smooth.
Okay. Any other stats for me?
Yeah, I can bring out more stats if you'd like. So 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, despite a small engine, is done in 10 seconds. The fuel economy figure quoted from Ford is like 5.5, but I think realistically you're talking maybe 6.5, which is pretty typical.
Decent,
Very
yeah.
typical. Very decent. And you know what? It's actually fun. You would feel maybe at times you're missing out with a small 1 litre turbo, but this is a fun drive. And Ford is probably, the Focus is probably always the best in this class for a driver.
It is, I have to agree. I love that 1 litre EcoBoost engine. It's a little peach.
Isn't it?
And the Focus is just reminding me how much I like to drive it and how much I like to throw gear, as you said. I don't know what it is about it, but there's just nothing in this segment that can touch it in terms of how planted it feels. It's just really grippy and I think just a really simple driving experience.
Isn't it? It's just, the best compliment I can give it is it's intuitive. You get in and straight away it feels right. You can just guide it around corners without any issues whatsoever. You're not kind of sawing at the wheel to work out what's going on. It's straightforward, intuitive, and it's the driver's choice.
It is.
The
It
Mazda
is the
3
driver's car.
runs it close, but I actually think the engine is what pips it for me.
And I know obviously you're not comparing like for like. Here there's an awful lot more going on with the Leon that I brought.
Yeah, we shall see that.
We shall see. But in general, I just find the Focus hard to touch in this segment, and even anything from the Volkswagen Group in that regard. It's just got it. It's got something special. This is the Leon F4 Sports Tourer e-hybrid.
Rolls off the tongue.
That's quite a lot to remember.
It is quite a lot
there.
Yeah. Well done though, in fairness.
So I'll give you a quick overview. It is
hit me with the stats.
powered by a 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine, but also assisted by a 13 kilowatt electric motor, giving it a combined power output of about 204 PS. Electric range of, on paper, 60 to 63 kilometres.
But now we're not on paper, so what's
We're not
the
on
real
paper.
world?
After a full charge, I got 41 kilometres on the clock.
Okay, that's pretty typical.
And yeah, I mean, you always drop a few, don't you? But that was pretty true to life. So I did get my full 41 kilometres despite spending most of the subsequent journey on the motorway at 120. In electric mode, which I'll have to describe to you because I used up all your juice.
You did
on the way down here. It's a really nice experience. Your typical electric car feel. You've got that lovely, effortless kind of instant
The
torque.
torque kick is just
Quiet.
satisfying.
Likewise, when you go onto the petrol power, you've got a nice bit of power there. It is very competent.
Yes, I would.
It's a pleasant drive.
It is a pleasant drive. It's very comfortable, and the only thing I will say is the steering is a bit too light, especially coming from that Focus. There's just not a sense of connection and feedback. It's vague to be accurate,
I agree. I
think.
do like a tighter steering myself. I was going to say, sure, I'll put you into sport mode. I think we're actually already in sport mode. Are we? Yeah, we are.
We are in sport mode.
I'll put you back into normal.
And I do not notice any difference.
Now wait for it. Now you're... No,
maybe an artificial
okay.
sense of something.
And we haven't talked price yet, which I guess is the elephant in the room here. Now, as we said, we're not comparing like with like.
No, this was not a twin test we had planned.
No. In terms of like a starting price, I know that I can go onto the Ford website and I'll see a very low starting price for the Focus.
Yeah, like 24, I think.
24. Well, I think
thereabouts.
the standard Leon, as in your hatchback petrol, starts in and around 25 mark as well.
Okay, so
And then you're looking at closer to 28 for your F4 Sports version, which is probably, is it similar enough to the ST
that's
line?
similar. Yeah, I think our test car is 29, but that has options. So yeah, pretty similar.
And likewise in the Focus line, if you're going to have a lot of variants, and you've got an estate version there as well, and then but the main kind of, I suppose, loader onto this one is the plug-in hybrid system,
Yeah.
which actually pushes the price up to in around €37,000. So it's quite a leap
That's
there.
steep. Now
It
the
is.
Focus has no plug-in hybrids, so that's
At the
maybe where that
moment.
price difference is.
Yeah.
Like ST line estate is about 30, 31, I think. So
There's some common ground there, but it, like as we said, they're very different animals. In terms of basically, is the plug-in hybrid system worth it? I think it's really
depends.
impressive technology, and it's great on paper. It's great and for a certain type of driver, but I do think that there is quite a bit of discipline involved. You need to keep it charged if you want to get the benefit of the electric motor. You need to be doing enough driving to make up for that premium.
Yeah, you
but
really
at the
do.
same time, not so much driving that you're overly reliant on the petrol motor, because if you don't keep your battery charged, then you're essentially carrying around an awful lot of extra weight on your petrol engine for no reason, which is not going to help the fuel economy.
I think people gravitate towards the plug-in hybrids when they feel, I do my short journeys, and then every now and again I would not trust an electric car to get me 300 kilometers, so I want a petrol as well, and that's what you're getting here.
Good, and it is a good stepping stone in that regard, I think.
Yeah.
It's a toe in the water. So we haven't really touched on spec at all. I have to say, for what it's worth, the F4 is very generously equipped. I find like there was nothing that I was looking for in this car.
Would want to be for 37
It would want to be for 37, but it is. As in, like, that digital cockpit is a really premium feature.
That's the business.
You've got the impressive looking infotainment system. It's got all your reversing camera, parking sensors, the 3-zone climate control, a nice touch as well. And your all eyes are standard, as are your roof bars.
It's a looker. Will you allow me to do an experiment?
Of course.
Right.
Love an experiment.
This is a universal problem I have with plug-in hybrids,
Okay.
and it's when you're just moving along quietly, as
Yeah.
we are now,
Yes.
and then you want to, I don't know, overtake, or you're just interested in going a bit faster, shall we say.
Could be, yeah.
And then you push the throttle, and then it kicks in.
Yeah, there is that hesitancy. I totally
There's
agree
some
with
kick.
you.
There's
I
lots of
totally
kick.
agree with you. Yeah,
But
it's like
such
it's
a
like I have to
delay.
think for a second. Wait a second, am I electric or am I?
Yeah.
What mode am I supposed to be in? Oh yeah, go.
Everything just thrown at it all
Yeah.
at once, and it's that delay between your foot and it actually happening is
A little bit of a lag there. all right.
universal to every plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
It needs to work
Kicking
it
around
out.
in the
It
little
needs to work
brain
it
up
out.
there.
It is. Oh, that was a crash. Yeah, but that is always a gripe I have.
How do you think the estate affects the handling much? Do you feel that extra weight?
Not really. No.
Yeah,
Not that
same.
I
I
can
find it
remember.
like it does
I
handle pretty
wouldn't-
well despite the extra length.
Do you know what? It's still a good drive.
Mm.
It's just not quite on the level of that Focus
No,
for
I agree.
involvement and just reward. It just doesn't quite live up.
So, what have we learned today?
Well, Sinead, we've learned you cannot read a spec sheet.
And I've learned that estate booths are much bigger than hatchback
They
booths.
are. I like estates, and to me, I still don't understand why people don't pick estates over SUVs. I mean, they go straight from a hatchback to an SUV, and you just need to look in the middle at an estate. It does so much more things better, and I just don't understand it sometimes. I'm
Agreed.
guessing it's height.
Agreed, I think they're hidden gems. A lot of the time, they're a lot less expensive than SUVs as
Yeah.
well, with just as much room in the back. The only thing I do quite like about an SUV, now that I'm resting with car seats and that, is that bit of extra ride height. It does make a difference, especially if you have like any kind of back issues and that.
We just need to see more estates in Ireland. Like people just have a stigma towards them. I don't know, they just don't get it, and I'm not even sure why. It's just not trendy, is it?
Justice for estates. I also hope that we have touched on a little bit the difference between the various types of hybrids out there. I know that it's something that customers can be quite confused about,
It's a minefield.
especially when there are such different interpretations, like yours being quite a mild hybrid, this being one that requires more discipline and
Yeah.
charging and
We
making
have
sure that
opposite
you
ends
get
of the scale here.
totally. And yeah, I think that's probably another large lesson from today, is that this segment has so much choice now.
It's
Like,
scary.
it's so far away from what it was, which was basically Golf versus Focus, petrol versus diesel. You've now got your different technology, trim levels, your
Mild
variants.
hybrid, plug-in hybrid, normal hybrid, petrol, diesel. It's just endless.
It's a minefield, but I mean the choice is good.
Yeah, choice is good for everyone, isn't it?
True.
Yeah, we like choice. So Sinead, who wins?
It's not a twin death, I
Ah.
told you.
God damn it, I need a winner.
In conclusion, choice is good. We hope you enjoyed the video and found it some ways helpful. If you did, you might like to subscribe to the channel, give us a like and a share, and I guess we're on TikTok now.
Yeah, we're so trendy. We're so trendy.
You can follow us at CarsIreland.ie.